Hello, another bonus live stream and another not post-jog live stream, but pre-jog this time. And so that's 3 bonus live streams in a row. The last 2 live streams, I deleted them, and I probably made a bit of a mistake because there was a lot of feedback about the topic of the first one that I did, which I continued in the second video. There was a lot of feedback on the topic in comments, and I wasn't really thinking when I was deleting things. I was just thinking, no, I don't like having content that's that emotive on my channel. I don't like giving too much of myself away on a personal level on YouTube. So I deleted them, not remembering that some people had not gotten out of bed yet, because the countries that they're in, different time zones to me, and would not have seen my answers to the very thoughtful comments that they posted. So that's an awful pity, because it was a very good and useful conversation. And the live streams, for anybody that didn't see them, was really about my frustration as an artist. The first one was called something about a dilemma for my channel. And I was talking about my YouTube channel. And I had just deleted my Instagram account because Instagram had been looking for your consent to the usage of your data for training, AI training purposes. Sorry, my chair is going to click heavily here. Now it's one of those office chairs that makes big noises but doesn't break, hopefully. It's been making funny noises for ages. So I said, I'm not really happy about that, because they're saying to you that even if you fill in a form saying you don't consent to this, that they might use your stuff anyway. And so there are all kinds of copyright concerns there for artists, which you always have. You always have copyright of your work as an artist, but you're constantly running up against people trying to use your art for their stuff online. And anybody that blogs knows this, that you spend a lot of time looking for copyright free images to use. If you're somebody who is a decent type, if you're somebody who doesn't really care, you'll try and steal images. And quite often people try and steal your stuff in order to sell something else. And part of the conversation I was having is about how all the platforms are a bit of a scam, and that really they're about advertising things, and that you're part of the product that they're selling, and they'll latch on to your item. Like I had said that I made on my other Scavop channel, I made a sewing video and they stuck ads on it. So they want to be seen advertising alongside things that seem real and human, but they are moving themselves towards a much more AI generated content type world. And a lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. Businesses are jumping on the bandwagon because they think that it's going to save them a lot of money. There's going to be a big technological revolution around it, and a big jobs revolution, and everybody, not just artists, has to think about where they fit into this very changed society within the next few years, because the way technology goes, like it comes along in leaps, sudden leaps into a totally new situation. The way, for example, when smartphones were invented, that catapulted us into a completely different kind of society and changed society probably forever. I was arguing that no, we could go back. We could go back if we had the will to go back. Anything can be stopped if we want to stop it. And the tech people are arguing that no, you can't stop AI because the baddies might get their hands on it. So it's a bit like nuclear bombs. We have to do it because somebody else will do it if we don't. So they're kind of saying, it has some horrific downsides as well, and the implications of what might happen if it gets super smart and starts it's teaching itself some of the time and training off us some of the time. So there might be really bad consequences of that, but oh well, somebody else is going to do it if we don't. That's their excuse. So I was very frustrated about the idea of participating in this. And the two videos, they were quite emotive because it is, when you really understand it, it is quite upsetting because it's going to change your whole environment. It's very difficult to, almost impossible, I would say, to get offline, not just for, the addictive quality of online, but because businesses and governments have you online so much and need you to be online, want you to be online and insist you're online to fill in various forms and interact with services, and then you've got your little phone and they get very angry if you're not carrying your phone with you all the time. You get given out to, I get given out to about this all the time because I don't bring my phone out with me. I turn the phone off at night, leave it in another room, don't check it 200 times a day or however many times the average is supposed to be, turn all notifications off, all sorts of things in order to try and preserve my focus for art. Great. So, you're going to have to engage with it in some way. So it's going to be a very big change for everybody. And artists have to figure out, well, okay, if I'm somebody who's online using any of the platforms and showing my work online, how am I going to deal with this? Because this is going to be stimulus coming at me in a different way now. And is it going to affect my art? I didn't really talk about that, whether it's going to have a direct effect on your art, but any sensory stimulus coming in is going to have an effect on your art, your mood, your intellect, the whole lot. So you have to be very protective of your environment around you in order to get to, I'm always going on about the calm place for art. There's plenty of room for excitement in art, but the focused place tends to be the calm place, and you need focus for art. So that was the thinking behind deleting videos, that I didn't want to have kind of upsetting videos on my channel because there's so much overstimulation on YouTube anyway. But it was a mistake, I think, not thinking it out, deleting them too fast, because it's a very important topic for artists. And the few people that watched and commented felt quite strongly about it. So I want to continue that series of videos by talking briefly this morning before I go out for my jog about alternatives and their offline alternatives. And I had answered people in the comments, but of course, if those people, I think they were probably in the US, I don't know, but they probably hadn't got out of bed to even see the comment replies by the time I answered, and might have thought that I wasn't happy with their comments or something and removed the video for that reason. It wasn't that. It was that I didn't want a kind of a ranty video there, but I should have left the first one up, I think, but it's deleted now, so it's gone now. It's full of fantastic insights. And it's great to say that when the thing is deleted, but it actually, I do understand what's happening, and it's not a difficult topic really to look up what's happening with generative AI and the use of AI on social media and how that's going to impact us very strongly within the next few years. And it's starting already. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Instagram. You can see it on other platforms you go to. They're all using it. And it'll extend out into every business. So, and then they're trying to get artists wanting to use it. And some do, but they're calling themselves artists, but some of the ones that are using it aren't really artists. They're putting in a text prompt, something produced. It puts out something based on basically remixing. Say you have two ideas in your text prompt, or, you know, you can have as many as you want, but if you have two, say, it'll mix it up in some sort of, usually something semi-surrealist looking, or hyper real or something, but with fairly hyped up colors as well, very garish kind of stuff. And quite often it has that surrealist look because of the illogic of the machine not quite understanding how to put things together in a meaningful way. So they often lack context in a way that humans would really kind of have to work at to get, you know. But, you know, some people might use them that I've considered in the past, looking at other people's AI generated images and doing a painting from them to do sort of some sort of commentary on the two things and have, you know, show the two side by side and say, well, this is the art here, but this is the art from generated remix thing, and my art is commenting on this art. But the sort of art I do, that piece should survive on its own without an essay around it, you know. And this is kind of relevant, that little thought is relevant to today's video, because today's video is about kind of offline solutions. Because I was talking about how downhill that I feel that these platforms, they already are. Some people in my comments had bad experiences with the platforms like me before in just getting people to actually see the work. And as an artist, you want to show people your work. But they hadn't reached enough people with their work to really make it worthwhile with the amount of effort they were putting in on the social platforms, which aren't, when you think about it, your main effort. Your main effort is making art, not being a creator on one of these platforms or several, because the companies try and push you to be on as many platforms as possible. And if there's somebody like Meta, and they have a few platforms like Facebook, which is Meta now, and Instagram, they'll try and get you to integrate services. And I think they integrate with Etsy as well. So they try and get all the services integrated. And that's just about managing your data for them, and sort of kind of an ownership over your data, really, you know, because big data it's big business, isn't it, for them? But what do you get out of it? Well, they hype it up and say that you're gonna, if you work hard enough and you do things in the way that they want you to do them, which is a very markety, slick, selling yourself as a product and selling yourself as a personalized product, and through a personal relationship with the people that are viewing your stuff, and your followers, like you're a guru, you see. And it's a lot of that stuff is very anti what artists do. It's not what they do at all. It's art is about the product, not really about you. And even calling the art a product is not really what we do either. It's a thing in the world, but the experience of looking at art and that you look at it is as important to an artist as that you buy it. You know what I mean? If somebody comes up to us and they talk about our art and they say, you know what, I've come back and look at this piece of work and it just really speaks to me and everything. And, you know, it's really, I don't know what it is about it, but I love it, you know. Somebody that says something like that to us, that makes our whole day. And, you know, so much so that if somebody buys something, it's great. But if somebody says that, it has the equal value to us as something special that was really said to us, as a sale, you know. Now we need to eat, don't we? Like everybody else, we need to be able to buy very expensive paints and canvases. So how do you do this if some of the platforms are so disappointing in terms of, as people are always saying to me, and somebody said to me in those comments, so much of the content, there's my phone beeping, and most of the notifications have been turned off by me, but the actual phone company, I can't turn off their notifications, and they keep telling me all the time, you've used your phone less this week than last week. It's like trying to encourage me to use it more or something. So, yeah, some people keep saying to me, and I see it all the time on Instagram, people posting things that they just can't get the engagement, that their hamster's running around a wheel, and that a lot of stuff that they think is really, really rubbishy is getting loads of attention and approval and loads of followers and everything. And, a lot of us know that something's up with this, that some of that content, we might think is good, and others of it, you go, how could anybody be into that? Even allowing for the fact that there are a lot of stupid people out there, the marching morons, a friend of mine used to call them, that there are a lot of stupid people out there, even allowing for that, the dross, some of the dross that does best, you kind of go, can that really be organic? Or are they fixing the system somehow for these people? And, you would see things about playing the system, but you're not going to see them posted and breaking the terms of service. So it's like, best kept secrets, But there are all these ways of getting sort of fake engagement for yourself. But I would argue it's pointless doing that as well, because that's part of a confidence trick on your viewers that doesn't really pay off that well, in terms of if you're an artist wanted to genuinely want to show your work. You might be able to pay bots and things to turn up and make nice comments, but it doesn't necessarily sell your channel or make your channel hugely more visible to the sector of the audience that you're interested in, which are people who are into, for me, it would be people who are into fine art, and even some of the huge galleries, some of their videos, I'm always surprised to see how few people view their videos on YouTube. So the quality of the work itself doesn't guarantee the views. And then if you played the game of the platform and really understood it well and did all the dirty tricks and everything, you're not doing it for a reason that's that even has a good payoff. So, and then if you decide, well, I'm going to be the hamster on the wheel and see if it works, because sometimes you go through all these stages on platforms, because you say, well, they might be right. Maybe if I do all these things, I might get more people looking at my art. And you do things like, present yourself really well, spend 2 hours if you're a girl putting on your makeup and your false nails and everything, buy fancy lighting, buy really good camera, really good editing suites, take a course in editing things, become a sort of mini filmmaker for that platform. If it's YouTube, for example, on Instagram, you're going to be into photography. You're going to be into the marketing of yourself, the acquisition of followers to look legitimate, because there are people out there think that the more followers somebody has, the better the thing might be. But we don't care about these people as artists, because people who think like that are idiots anyway, because they don't understand how social media works. So if they can't distinguish how things work, they're unlikely to be educated enough to really appreciate fine art anyway. I mean, that's a very brutal thing to say, but it tends to be true that to appreciate fine art, you either have to cut through all the BS and present a piece of art to somebody who hasn't really seen fine art before, but who just has natural sensibilities, that they're sensitive to art. And you'll often get that as an artist. Somebody will see something just by chance and they'll go, wow, but you actually have to show it to them in person. That's another interesting thing about fine art. A lot of fine art, I have trouble with oil paintings that I do because they don't film well. You have to have you have to have very good photographic videographer skills to film oil paintings, because the surface is semi-shiny. It's not completely matte. And it's much easier to film ink on paper films really well. Gouache films really well, because the sort of gouache I was using was actually developed out of Studio Ghibli films, which are all, non-reflective, and colors developed and everything for filming, for animation. So certain types of illustration or art are going to show really well on social media. Photography, obviously, is going to look really good because you can make it high res and everything. Oil paintings, quite tricky to film well unless you hire professional photographers and everything. So I am a great believer that somebody seeing something, if you're doing an oil painting or any sort of a piece, any sort of an art piece, that there's always an advantage in seeing it in person, unless it's something that is done specifically in an illustration style, on a small scale, like sort of a magazine piece, that can look better online than it does offline. So it works both ways. That sometimes some of your work is going to look better online than off, and some of your work is going to look better off than on. And definitely I feel like that about oil paintings, and I think a lot of people have trouble photographing their oil paintings. But well, how would you, in this online world, how would you show your stuff online? Well, for some people offline, right? For some people who are showing their work online, they may not have strongly considered the idea of showing your work offline. And that's what I finally got around to talking to you about today, because stupidly removing the last two videos, I had to give you a little summary of some of the issues in them. So if people are dissatisfied with online experiences, and the hypothesis is it may get much worse within the next few years, not just the content being served up, but your ability to be a user of that platform and get what you want out of it, which is views and or sales. So if that gets worse in the next few years, as an artist, where do you go to show your work? Well, there has always been this option of showing in galleries. So the perception definitely online, the general perception of galleries and showing work in galleries is that artists are elitist snobs, and the whole art world is elite and snobby, and there's no entry into it unless you're in that network of people. Now, there can be an aspect of that that's true. It can be very snobby. I announced on my Scavop channel, I was doing a book review about Proust, and I said, well, I'm a terrible snob, and I am a terrible snob. I'm an intellectual snob because I have a very good standard of education, and I have I think, very good taste in music and art and everything. So I just proudly admit I'm a snob, because there are plenty of people out there calling people snobs just because they suspect that the person has better taste than them, and they want to diss that person. So I'm just dissing back and saying, yeah, I am a snob. What you going to do about it? Nothing. I'm well informed. That's what a snob is. Somebody who looks down on somebody who hasn't put in the work to be informed about something. So I'm here to, if you didn't know already, I'm here to inform you how to approach galleries and everything, because I have had kind of shows and things in the past, and know my way around how to apply for things and everything. I haven't done that in a long time. What I did was I changed what I paint. And I feel I'm still learning a lot about landscape. And I would consider myself now maybe ready for a show, but for a while back, and also doing other work as well, because I was trying to put bread and butter on the table and pay the rent. So How'd you get your art before people offline? Well, you can approach galleries, right? Now, if you want to get your work into a gallery, there are a few kinds of galleries. There are, I'm just going really basic. Some of this you'll know, so I'm not trying to insult anybody who does know their stuff about this, but there might be one or two things you don't know, or some little nugget in there that's helpful. So there are a few ways. Galleries is one offline way. Somebody was talking to me about community artwork. Yeah, that's a possibility. But one of the things about that I don't like is that a lot of them are themed and you have to stick to their theme. So if you're doing work about something else and it doesn't fit into the theme of the thing that they want you to apply to get, basically they'll give you money. If there's a community art thing, they'll advertise it in art publications. You can apply for this up to such and such a date. The theme is this. Submit your work online here, and here are the conditions of entering and everything, and you go and you find out about that. But when you look at the theme, unless you're a kind of what I call a champagne socialist, you might be very disappointed, because the themes at the moment tend to be committee-based themes, like being part of the community, or unity for everyone, or inclusion, or something like that. And you might be like, you might be into those themes. I don't know. Everybody's different. But for somebody like me, I go, oh God, another champagne socialist theme that's just meant to use artists to push a particular political agenda for their friends, the committee people's friends, basically, in government, to give them more funding for public art. So you've got that kind of aspect to it. It's not really led by, when it's set as community art, it's not really one artist getting together, and saying, oh, I know another artist in the area, maybe we can get together and do a mural or something like that. You still have to jump through the hoops if you want to make that happen, and be able to fill in forms and things to get permission to do it. And, funding to pay for your paints and everything, and you can't just off the cuff do a public performance and set your art up without getting permission to do that. So you still have to be able to deal with committees, form filling, no matter what you do. So that's community art. I think a good option is, and something that I did that was very useful to me, I joined an artists association here in Ireland, and every country has various artists groups and associations that you can join. And if you suss them out, you'll find ones that will provide some sort of a newsletter email that gives you information about what you can apply for as an artist. And the things you can apply for as an artist give you money to be able to do those things. So they tend to give you grants or money to cover the event. And a grant could extend over the course of a month, 2 months, a few years, and is money for you to live on while you're creating art. So that's great. That's one worry gone, and you can just focus on art, and you don't have to worry about money. There might be an opportunity to show goes along with that grant. But then there might also be, if you're in some sort of an artist association, which does give you info about all these things, hopefully all in the same place, listings, some kind of group that will send you listings of what artists can apply for, and where and when and how to, it doesn't give you all the how to apply, but it'll give you links to all those places, usually online now, you see. It'll give you all the links, and you go off, apply for things, and you might get yourself either a place to show or some money, or both. So the venues for showing, galleries, will turn up in those listings. For example, a gallery will say, artists are invited to apply for a solo show in the such and such gallery, closing date, whatever, apply here. and you go over and you see on their website what it is they need from you in order to decide who they're going to choose to have solo shows for, say, the coming year. So you apply for a few of those. If you're ready for a solo show, you're applying for a few of those, and you're choosing the gallery. You're saying, not every gallery is a good gallery. So the sorts of galleries that there are, just if people aren't used to going to galleries, and maybe some viewers here wouldn't be used to going to galleries, because a lot of people, we do things online, and you might know a lot about art online. Some of what you know might not be true. And you go and you check it out and you go, oh, that's very disappointing. My experience online doesn't match with what they tell me. They told me I was going to make loads of money. They told me loads of people were going to see my art. They told me it was going to be a great experience. And it wasn't. So maybe some of you have had a great experience. I don't know. But I don't think these people go to small channels like mine to look at what I'm doing, because they look at what people who have loads and loads of views are doing. Because they're social media artists, and that's the problem. You can turn into a social media artist if you're playing the game too much and get too swayed by, well, people don't want to see this kind of art, they want to see that kind of art. And on platforms like YouTube, they'll actually encourage you to change what you do to suit the type of viewer that's watching, which isn't a good idea for an artist. You should be doing your own thing and allow people to come to it or not come to it, and enjoy it or not enjoy it, and not get too hung up on views and things. But, I understand how people get on the hamster wheel and how tempting it is to follow the advice that the platforms are giving you. But I think offline is the more dignified way in some ways to go. I like a lot of it. Don't get me wrong. I like a lot of things about online. You can reach people that wouldn't go to galleries, for example, and people who mightn't have seen art before might come across your video by accident, So it's handy like that. But in the galleries, right, if you're interested in investigating this outlet for your art, and I think it's really worth investigating at least, you've got some homework. And the homework would be, go to whatever gallery you can get to that's a public museum type gallery with some very good quality artwork in it. So whether you're somebody who doesn't even go on holidays, find a public gallery near you that you can go to and investigate the art in it and see what you like, see what you don't like in the art, look at the way the art is presented and everything, and find out about the artists. So part of your homework as an artist is finding out about other artists who are really good artists, right? And it doesn't matter what age the age of art they're from. It's just what appeals to you. And you might find some new stuff. If you're not used to going to galleries, you might find some new stuff. And make two visits, I would say, because art offline is a slow burn process. You might see something once and say, yeah, that's interesting. But then it's competing with all these other things for your attention in the gallery. A bit like social media competes all the time for your attention. But you have to physically walk around that gallery. So it's a different experience from being online. And you will find yourself pausing in front of things that take your attention. But if you go back a second time, you might be surprised that pieces that you didn't see the first time are pieces that you're starting to engage with more, that you flashed by them the first time. But some of the slower pieces crept up on you. And the second time that you go in, you might go, wow, that's a quiet little piece. But you know what? There's something fascinating about this. And I have pieces in galleries that I've gone back to see many, many times, like they're a friend that I'm visiting, and I get something new from them every time. You're in a different headspace when you're looking at stuff offline. But I would say that go to a public gallery that has good quality artwork in it, and take a day there, or a whole morning there, or a whole afternoon there, or whatever. Take your time looking at it, and then go back again another time. Also go to private galleries in wherever you can reach in your area. Go to as many as you can. Get to know the galleries in your area. And a private gallery is a business, basically. It's like a shop for art. And it can feel a bit intimidating walking into them sometimes, because you won't have loads of customers in there, possibly. Some of them will have craft work shown with art, and then some galleries just have artwork, but not loads of craft as well. Some galleries might have a coffee shop built in with them. There are different kinds of galleries. And so suss them all out. And you just walk into them like you would any other shop. You walk in, they can be very quiet and hushed sometimes if they're a sort of posh gallery, but don't be intimidated by it. Just somebody says hello to you in the shop, you just say hi, and you walk around and look at things. And sometimes they'll hand you a thing that is a little thing telling you a price list of things, or it might be names of pieces, or there might even be a kind of an essay that, that's a little biog about the artist. So you're finding out something about the artist, but your primary goal there is to look at the art. And also, as somebody who's considering being with the gallery, you are saying to yourself, does the work here, is the kind of taste of the person choosing the work for this gallery, would that be the kind of taste that would go for my work? That's what you're asking. And this is homework that might last like a few months, but it's very enjoyable. And it's very different. And if you've not been to galleries before, a lot of people haven't, it's exciting, and it's an exciting thing to do, and it's very relaxing thing to do as well. It's very nice, So you're going to different galleries, and you might go to one gallery and spend 25 minutes in the gallery. You might go to another private gallery and be only in there 20 minutes. And where do you find out where the galleries are? Well, this is where belonging to some kind of an arts association that's a good information source can be good, because quite often in their newsletters or emails or whatever they're giving you, they will list what exhibitions are coming up. So you need to be able to get that, and they'll have the gallery, and then you get the address of the gallery out of the newsletter, or you see the name of the gallery, and if it's in your town or city, you look it up online, and you make it your business to go while it's on. And what happens with the private gallery, sometimes people don't know this either, is that an exhibition will run, quite often it'll have a run of about 2 weeks, but it depends on the gallery. And there's an opening night. And there's somebody online actually just had an exhibition. And if you want to see what a small gallery exhibition looks like, this guy, Andrew Barrowman, who I really like on YouTube, he's a very good painter. And he's living in, where does he live? In Cornwall, I think, in England. And I can't remember the name of the gallery he showed with, but he had an exhibition recently. So you can go and look at his exhibition space online and his opening night. I think he's got some footage of the opening night. But this is what happens in a gallery. As an artist, you go, the gallery owner hangs up your work. You can turn up and say, oh, I'd like that piece up there, though. What do you think? It might look better over here. They give you a lot of help. The owner is there to be a middleman or middle woman, if you insist on doing, oh no, you're not supposed to do genders anymore, according to a few people, I don't know. Middle person, if you want to be really PC about it. The gallery person will help you get the show ready, get the stuff all up on the wall, and then you have your opening night, and they have the guest list. So a good gallery has a very good guest list, knows people with money who want to buy art. this is great for you. Because they'll invite those people to a little party known as your opening night. And there'd probably be a bit of booze, might be a little bit of food, there might be music, but there'll be your art there for the people who collect art, who have money to come to that show on this special night that's just for them. And that tradition has been going on for, I don't know, since 17th, 18th century. I think 18th century was a big age of openings for, academies and things, but I don't know my history completely on that one. So the opening night is great, right? And, you have to be there because people want to talk to you about art, and people who collect art like to say that they've been talking to the artist about what their art is about and everything. And, it's not super intimidating, like everybody's nice to you that night and everything. But your art show will go on for a few weeks. So you might sell stuff on the opening night, and you will continue to sell stuff during the 2 weeks because people will go in and out to the gallery. There'll be people on the phone to the gallery owner saying, hey, that piece I was looking at on the opening night, is that gone yet? Can we, can we just hold on to it until I get in there later in the day? You do not have to do any sort of bargaining, haggling, anything like this. You set the price. The gallery owner usually doesn't even haggle with you about the price because you should know the value of your own art. It's probably going to go up the more you show. But if you were pricing things ridiculously cheap, the gallery owner would let you know anyway. You could ask them for guidance on that if you haven't shown before, because quite often a gallery, if they take you on board, they'll be the gallery that you show with for as long as you want to. If you wanted a show every year, say, if you are, it depends on what kind of an artist you are, how long it takes you to produce work. But if you wanted a show every year and you're a young artist, they're happy to follow your career all the way. And you're an asset that the value of your art for them goes up as well. And particularly if, they've chosen in the first place. So that's a vote of confidence in your art, because they're experts in their field at choosing art and choosing what art they think is going to sell, So it's very good to get into a gallery because you don't have to do all that work of selling your stuff yourself. The gallery does it. That's fantastic. All the work that, you have to put into doing stuff on social media, you don't have to do any of that. You could just go to the studio and paint. Unless you love being online, you don't actually have to do it if you go the other route. Now, the reason I'm talking about going the other route now is because I'm talking about the possibility of online being so terrible for artists, within the next few years, that it really just doesn't suit at all. It could flip back the other way, of course, but you've got to have contingency plans if things get very bad online within the next few years. So I don't want to be too negative, but this is another option that I haven't spoken about at all on my channel before, but I would really urge younger artists to explore this. Older artists, not so much. If you've been working for lots of years already and you're approaching a gallery, it's like anything. It's like going for a job. They're going to say, what have you been doing in the previous years? And they're going to have a lack of confidence in you if you haven't been continuously showing. You see, you're kind of a bad bet for them. But I mean, maybe they'll be just so wowed by your work. I don't know. Maybe you can pick up a career at any stage. It's definitely put me off approaching galleries again. But were other factors about putting me off, like lack of transport to be able to physically bring a big load of work to a gallery, and not being sure that I could get a good enough gallery that I have a guarantee of selling off all the work in order to cover my costs. that the costs of framing and transport and work and all this. So it was just such a headache that I said, no, I just want to concentrate my painting on, and I want to actually get good at doing landscape, because I used to be a portrait painter. I was very good at it. But do that. Do explore, even if you're online, even if you like your online experience. Have a look at offline things. Go to the public galleries, get a few visits in to look at work, not with the business eye at all, with an artist's eye, and say, well, what is it? I am the viewer. So what is it that I love about one piece rather than another piece? Find out what your artistic taste is outside of social media. And you might get some surprises. There's quite a difference in the kind of work shown. And, it's not just for historical reasons that some of the public galleries have art that's from another age. It's not just for those reasons. It's for reasons about how good art is put together, you see, how it's constructed, and what it is about it that speaks to you more the more you look at it. That's very interesting about offline. And what is the different feeling you get off art when you see it, the real piece of art, even though it might be a flat thing like a painting. How is a painting different when you see it in a gallery face to face as a physical thing than when you see it as a flat, pixelated thing on the screen? These are things that are going to come up for you, and are part of your education as an artist. So there is a whole world of offline art, you see, which you may not have explored all of it yet. And the thing about joining an artists association of some sort, don't pay a fortune for it. And there's loads of different artists associations. So it's a little bit of research to find the one that is going to give you the info that you need. But basically, you're joining is to get information about where galleries are, where private galleries are, public galleries, what exhibitions are coming up there as well, because they also have exhibitions coming up, and grants, bursaries, residencies, and exhibitions, either group or solo, that you can apply for in different galleries. It's going to be private galleries. It's not going to be public galleries. All associated with most associated with some sort of little bit of money to help you. Say, a lot of exhibitions, they used to do this actually, but they do now. I've noticed a lot of galleries will give you a few quid to help you towards the cost of staying to go to the opening in whatever gallery you're going to, or framing or something like that. It mightn't cover all the costs, depend on the gallery. So there are ways to get money for your art without having to spend loads and loads of money, which most artists don't have loads of disposable income. That's important too. And looking up all these things you can apply for is really, really helpful. So you then have to, your homework will also include, as well as going to private and public galleries and sussing them out and getting familiar with both the galleries and the kind of art that they're selling, and increasing your education about different artists and things as well. That's all very fun, finding different artists. Also, doing your homework about how you're going to fill out forms to apply for these things. So we have the internet to enable us to figure that out. And I have seen at least one channel on YouTube. I came across a video because I had been talking about the subject. YouTube had listened in, and they fed me up in my recommendations a channel that shows you how to write artistic proposals. And I am only not linking to it because it has an embedded advertisement section in it. And I'm trying to avoid things with the ads in them as much as possible, but I don't want people to think that I'm sort of endorsing something which has ads in it. But there are, if you're totally lost with that, which if you've never done it before, you would be, there are things to show you how to fill in a proposal. So when you're looking for your first bit of the homework would be to find an association that has a newsletter with events like that you want, and they'll tell you what they provide members before you join, so you can find out easy enough, and you can find them by looking them up online. So you find an association you like that is going to give you the information that you need in some sort of a newsletter form, and you click on the links that they provide in those newsletter and suss out all the different places that you know what they want you to apply with, whether it's photographs, a short biog of yourself, a explanation of what your work is about, and whatever else, whatever other details that they need. You go, oh, okay, that's what this lot need. Okay, that's what this lot need. And they'll be quite specific about if they want something about your work, they'll tell you how many words they want it and everything. So it's basically about how to write a simple proposal about something. They don't expect you to be, a very polished author, but they would like you to be able to spell properly and everything, So you would be letting yourself down if you didn't put in a little bit of work into figuring out how to do that properly. And you're less likely to get an exhibition or a grant or something if you can't fill in the form properly, aren't you? Because you could have brilliant work, but they can't find out anything about your provenance as an artist from the way you filled in the form, and everybody has a provenance as an artist. If you're wanting to show in a gallery, just because you haven't before, don't lack confidence about the thing. Say to them, I've been working in this media or this media for however many years or stuff as an artist, you see, even if you haven't shown before. So your biog will still be good, but just look at what they want and put it in that format. Same for grants, and everything they'll want a slightly different thing. But, that's a good thing to suss out in case you're finding your experience online not optimal. And it's a fun thing to do anyway, if you live somewhere, most people would be able to get to a gallery of some sort, I have to say. Somebody very rural, they're not going to be able to do that, but you're still going to be able to investigate a lot of things online. You're at a disadvantage if you're not able to see people's artwork in person. And I would say a slight disadvantage if you're only looking at public space sort of artwork. It's still art and you're still getting to see it, but it's a very committee orientated type of art. So, although art always had constraints on it, and artists, even in the past, they had to have approval of patrons and everything, you're going to be able to get a wider view of different types of art if you're actually able to go to public galleries and private galleries yourself and make that a little fun project for yourself as an artist. You should be kind of wanting to do that anyway, but it doesn't get mentioned very much because I don't know why, but people want to diss things that aren't just online things. And I think some of that is brainwashing by the actual platforms, to be honest with you. But there's this whole art world that is not online, and if you get over the idea that it's all terribly snobby and they won't want to see your art, get over that idea quick and throw yourself in at the deep end and go into private galleries. It doesn't matter who you are, what your accent is or anything like that. They're not going to be saying, no, you can't come into our gallery. They're going to be delighted that you're interested enough to come in and look at art, So you just say hi when you walk in and you walk around and you look at the art. You don't have to buy when you're there. They're not going to come at you, aggressively asking you to buy stuff. You're allowed to go in and look at the art. and find out more about art and everything, you know. So, and it's a lovely thing to do. Now, galleries these days, you might be able to get concessions for, you know, there are various concessions for different groups of people to go in. So look and see, can you get a concession, or whether there's free entry. There used to be free entry all the time to galleries, and increasingly they charge for you to go in. And that's why it is a better idea to maybe plan almost a full day, maybe in a gallery, depending on the, you know, if it's a public gallery. With the private gallery, you know, you're looking at 20 minutes kind of wandering around, usually. It depends on the size of the gallery, of course. But do it. It's an interesting thing to do. So offline options, grants, bursaries, galleries, artists associations. And I'll try and leave this stream up a little bit longer. I'm terribly sorry for removing the first one. I shouldn't have, really. It was a good live stream. It was just, I don't really like emotion. I'm an introvert. I don't like being very kind of emotional about topics and everything. But I am sorry that people didn't see my replies to your very thoughtful comments, and I'll leave this one up longer if anybody wants to comment or anything. And this live stream is kind of by way of reply to those uh, comments, giving you offline options that you can do if you're as disillusioned with the idea of selling art online as I am, really. But I'd say I'm disillusioned, but I kind of knew that it was going to be a bit of a damp squib anyway, you know. Okay, so bye bye, and thanks for watching and listening.